Let's go ahead and move on to Warren Buffett, of course, legendary investor. He just announced that he is retiring. I mean, he's in his 90s, so
he's certainly over 90.
Yeah, he's certainly put in his time. We can go ahead and take a look. He got a 10-minute standing ovation at the Berkshire Hathaway shareholder meeting where this was announced. You can see everyone standing there for him. And he made some interesting comments during his remarks here, in addition to announcing his retirement, on the trade war and on global trade in general. Let's go ahead and take a listen to that.
We want a prosperous world with 8 countries with nuclear weapons, including a few that are what I would call quite unstable. I do not think it's a great idea to try and design a world where a few countries say, ha, 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 we've won, and other countries are envious. So the main thing to do is not use, trade should not be a weapon. And the United States, we've won. I mean, we have become an incredibly important country, starting from nothing. 250 years ago, there's nothing been anything like it. And it's a big mistake, in my view, when you have 7.5 billion people that don't like you very well, and you got 300 million that are crowing in some way about how well they've done.
And Saagar, I don't know that Warren Buffett's views on trade are exactly the same as my views on trade, but I do think that last point he makes is a really key one, just in the way that this particular trade war has been executed. He's like, you're making the whole world hate you. The whole world. You're uniting the entire globe against you. Like, this is not a good idea.
I respect Warren Buffett. He's a classic, neoliberal free trader, and he's profited quite a bit off of the Chinese economy and all of it. So I mean, look, I don't want to, besmirch or whatever, who I think is a very interesting man. But yeah, we'll put his views on trade aside. He is not incorrect, broadly about not only the chaos and the isolation that has happened, as we just discussed with Japan, but, we also should look to his financial strategy for, if anything, let's disregard maybe his broader geopolitical views. And we can say he's definitely an expert in making money. If anybody ever wants, there's a great book about him. I think it's called Snowball, which I read,
I read that
several years ago. Fantastic book, just broadly about who this guy is, what makes him tick, the strategy behind all of it. It's actually really, Warren's life tracks the development of the modern U.S. economy. And since he's one of the greatest investors on paper ever, seeing his mind kind of work through those decision points at those critical moments in U.S. economic history is just a great way for not only to understand Buffett, but also to understand kind of everything that's happened. But to take, this out of it, look at what he is currently betting on. And his mind still works quite well. They're sitting on hundreds of billions of dollars in cash because of uncertainty. And that is a giant red signal, right, to the overall U.S., to the equities market, to the banking sector, to the consumers, investors, and others, for how they should be thinking in terms of whether they should outlay anything. And so that kind of hold back for where, if you have the cash, you should just go ahead and keep it. Mm-hmm. That's going to have big impacts no matter what, because people look to Berkshire Hathaway to make their own investment decisions. And I think that actually is the most critical part of Warren Buffett, at least in his importance right now.
Yeah, no, you can't deny his track record in, investing and seeing trends and anticipating them, et cetera. And we can put this element up on the screen, guys. This is something we've been tracking and covered previously, but it's worth updating you on. Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway just announced they now hold a record $348 billion in cash since 2022. Buffett's cash balance is up $239 billion. He has net sold stocks for 10 straight quarters. Their T-bill balance is actually 56% higher than the Fed itself. And that cash pile is now larger than the market cap of giants like Bank of America and Coca-Cola. Now, we don't know for sure whether there were any sales, during this recent period of market volatility, not sales, purchases during this recent period of market volatility to draw down on that cash balance. But based on the comments he made at that meeting, it seems like he's still very unimpressed with the direction of the market.
Yeah, it's absolutely extraordinary. And again, like people should take just general notice that one of the greatest investors doesn't think that this is a good time to buy and or is holding a decent amount of cash. And just broadly, and I think we have this element as well, just about all of these different billionaires who are disclosing plans to sell billions of dollars in their own stock. Bezos here selling about 5 billion in Amazon stock, and I believe the same is the case for some of the other major tech CEOs who have taken a massive hit to their balance sheet. So yeah, they're taking money off the table and they're hoarding cash, just like Warren Buffett. We've talked about this. If in an era of uncertainty, businesses hoard cash. When you hoard cash, you're not making investment or hiring employees or doing any other different things that you may do, and not good. Not good.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. And I don't know, I'm sure you saw because you, I think, read all of Weisenthal's things as I do. But his theory is that part of why the market hasn't crashed as much as you may expect, although I will say, looking at 10:30 a.m. right now, it is down this morning, but is because retail has been so conditioned to buy the dip that they are actually buoying the market. And that if you look at the much larger institutional investors, they are all extremely bearish. And I think, Berkshire Hathaway here and Jeff Bezos and other billionaires would be sort of emblematic of that.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't fault anybody for buying the dip or dollar cost averaging or, not making any big or not like deviating. I think on the institutional side, they also, as we're talking about just broadly, like they have investors or they have shareholders and they need to be able to plan for the future. They're not thinking about it similarly. And so for them, the problem, the retail guys always discover is that those large forces are much more market moving and important than you are, with your $100 a month or whatever that you're auto buying the S&P 500. And this is the problem, with major capital and their control is that they're the ones who decide the fate really for all of us, their major decisions. And so whether we like it or not, they're the ones who are really pulling the strings here.
Yeah, that's true. I have to live in the reality as it currently exists. Saagar, lovely to have you, sir. Great to see you. Everybody is very excited about you being daddy to be and thinking a lot about you and Jillian as you go through this.
Thank you, guys. Just shout out to any other expected parents out there. It's not easy. Do your own research, stand up for yourself, be your own advocate, and just make sure that you're taking everything with a grain of salt and making sure that you're paying attention. That's what I really hope. Lock in. But we're doing our best. We're hanging on, and I'll let everybody know as soon as I can when things are in motion.
All right. And lastly, we're bringing in some celebrity guest hosts to try their best to fill your shoes. And I'm about to bring in Glenn Greenwald, who scarcely needs an introduction, Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist, host of System Update on Rumble, et cetera. Any advice for me or for him as we move into the celebrity guest host portion of the show?
I think just change things up. I think that's one of the most fun things whenever you have different guest hosts on with different perspectives or different hosts or any other things. It can just be it can be something new, and I think that's refreshing sometimes, especially in a crazy time like this.
All right, Saagar, go take care of what you need to, and hopefully we'll see you again soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Hey, if you like that video, hit the like button or leave a comment below. It really helps get the show to more people.
And if you'd like to get the full show ad-free and in your inbox every morning, you can sign up at breakingpoints.com.
That's right. Get the full show, help support the future of independent media at breakingpoints.com.